Every now and then, we love to dive into some masterpiece linear experiences. Every moment is exciting and there's no boredom of an open world. You feel right at home, and completing missions is extremely satisfying. That's why I have made a list of 10 must-play linear games for an all-out, amazing experience. There are also some bonus games at the end, so let's look at the first game on our list. Control. What could be better than playing a linear game that is all about thrill and action? Control is what you call a mix of superpowers and all-out action. You have got these awesome telekinesis powers which make you unstoppable. So the entire purpose of the game is to uncover the mystery while having the time of your life throwing enemies left and right. It is one of those games that hooks you with its atmosphere right from the start. It's like stepping into a twisted world where everything feels slightly off, but in the best way possible. As a player, you are searching for your brother in a mysterious federal building, and the whole place feels like it's alive, constantly shifting and changing. What really sets Control apart is its weirdness. The game isn't afraid to get really strange, with some moments that feel like they were ripped straight out of a David Lynch movie. It's got this whole psychological horror aspect without ever actually being a horror game, which keeps you on edge and curious about what's going to happen next. Gameplay is where Control really shines. There's nothing quite satisfying like throwing furniture at enemies with your mind or levitating above the battlefield while blasting them with a shape-shifting gun. Titanfall 2. This is yet another linear experience that not many players know about. Titanfall 2 is a game that is more than just shooting. It offers a heartwarming storyline, and the bond between the two main characters feels warm. By the end of the game, you start to care about your partner. It's certainly a game that nails every concept. Sadly, Titanfall 2 never got the recognition it deserved. I really wanted a sequel so bad, but damn, I guess these top 10 videos are keeping its legacy alive. It's an absolute gem of a game, especially if you love fast-paced FPS games. The movement in this game is just chef's kiss. It's really smooth and fluid. You can wall run, double jump, and slide your way around the battlefield like some kind of futuristic ninja. Besides a touching storyline, the level design is also incredibly varied. There's this one mission called Effect and Cause that plays with time in a way I've never seen before in any other game. It's mind-blowing and makes you feel like a genius when you solve it. Honestly, Titanfall is one of those games that didn't get the attention it deserved at launch, but if you give it a shot now, you'll see why so many players are still singing its praises. It's a game that just gets everything right, from the mechanics to the story to the sheer fun factor. Devil May Cry 5. This one is an absolute blast for any action game fan. To be honest, even my 12-year-old brother liked this game. He loved how awesome everything looks and how you are constantly engaged in the battle. Also, we can never forget that the game offers 3 characters to play with. We all have our favorite, but it'd be a crime not to like Dante. That character is like, oh my god, how awesome can a person be? His attacks, his flashy moves, the weapons, jokes, and that Michael Jackson dance. All this makes Dante one of the most memorable characters. Now, combat is where Devil May Cry 5 really shines. It's all about chaining together combos, switching between weapons on the fly, and just wrecking demons with style. The better you perform, the higher your style ranking, and there's nothing more satisfying than pulling off an SSS combo. The game feels like a symphony of chaos, and when you get into the flow, it's like you're playing a beautiful mess of destruction. One of most basic questions is, can you play this game without having the knowledge of previous parts? The answer is that yes, you can. The 5th part offers a new story and finally puts an end to the brothers' rivalry. It's certainly one of the best DMC games. All those flashy combos, visuals, humor, everything is at its peak. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Finally, we have gotten the much-awaited sequel. Hellblade is one of those games that's weird, psychological, somewhat horrific, and shows some graphics, visuals. This is certainly not for everyone. I'm sure that some of you who tried playing it probably quit it because of the slow pacing and puzzles. When I first played this game, I felt really bored as puzzles are not my jam. However, Believe me, I gave this game another try about 2 years ago, and I had such a great time. You will experience a great storyline, explore some eerie areas, and the soundtrack or music is just mind-blowing. You can't help but feel immersive in this so-called psychological environment. Every moment is loaded with visuals, suspenseful scenes. Also, you're constantly hearing these background noises in your head. Imagine playing the game with headphones. You'll feel right at home in this immersive, dark environment.
Why don't you join us? Maybe you too have a part to play in this story.
The Last of Us Remake. Sometimes we want games that can offer everything in a perfect way along with the linear factor. Last of Us Remake is the prime example of how linear games should be. You never get bored, and with each step you take, you're progressing in the storyline. There's an enemy every 20 to 30 minutes which you can either kill or just sneak past. The game doesn't hold your hand and gives you an action combat. Every kill is extremely satisfying. It's not your typical zombie apocalypse game. You experience great combat, a touching storyline, a heartwarming bond, and a beautiful world. To this day, we can't get enough of how much of a masterpiece the game really is. Naughty Dog made an epic game that is perfect in all aspects. The remake doesn't change what made the original game a masterpiece. It just amplifies it, making the emotional beats hit even harder. If you've never played The Last of Us, this remake is the perfect way to experience it. And if you have, then it's like seeing an old friend in a new light. Portal 2. It's not just a puzzle game, it's a masterclass in game design, humor, and storytelling. The puzzles are brilliantly crafted, making you feel like a genius when you solve them, but it never feels like the game is holding your hand. The physics-based mechanics are just so satisfying. Shooting portals and watching the world twist and fold around you never gets old. The writing is awesome, the dialogue is sharp, and the story is surprisingly deep for a game that's essentially about solving puzzles in a lab. Playing with a friend adds another layer of fun and frustration in the best way possible. The way you have to communicate and work together to solve puzzles is just genius. You'll laugh, you'll scratch your head, the sense of accomplishment is amazing. Dishonored. The first-person perspective has never looked better before. You are basically dropped into a plague-ridden world, where the art style feels like a moving painting. The freedom the game gives you is incredible. You can go in guns blazing, or take the stealthy route using your powers to blink across rooftops or stop time to get the perfect assassination. One of the best things is the choices. The choices you make feel heavy because the game reacts to your actions. If you go on a killing spree, the world gets darker and there are more rats, more chaos. But if you choose a non-lethal approach, it feels like you're shaping a better future for the city, even if it's harder. Speaking of a better future, the storyline is nothing short of amazing. You are not just mindlessly killing, you are trying to clear out your name for a crime that you didn't commit and are saving the Empress. The characters are memorable, even the villains. Dishonored gives you this amazing world to play in where your decisions genuinely matter, and that sense of power and responsibility keeps you coming back for more. Quantum Break. Similar game to Control. Both games share the concept of sci-fi powers. You could say that Control is more of an updated graphics game, while Quantum is like a movie where you have the power to control time. You get these crazy time-bending powers after a science experiment goes wrong. Typical plot, I know. You can do so much more in this game. You can freeze time, dodge bullets like you're in the Matrix, and even stop enemies in their tracks with time bubbles. It's a blast figuring out how to use these abilities in combat, especially when you're surrounded by a bunch of enemies. What really makes Quantum Break different is how the game is split between gameplay and live action episodes. After each act, you get these 20-minute live action episodes that dive deeper into the story, showing you what's happening with the other characters. It's a unique experience because your choices in the game actually affect the episodes. If you like what you have seen so far, then don't hesitate to dive in. Gears of War 5. If you've been a fan of the Gears of War series, this one feels both familiar and fresh at the same time. The game kicks off with that classic Gears vibe, heavy gunfights, brutal chainsaw battles, and larger-than-life enemies, but it also brings some cool new elements that keep you on your toes. The combat feels as satisfying as ever, the Lancer still packs a punch, and the new weapons are a blast to use, the cover system is smooth, and every firefight feels intense. Now you can definitely have some mixed opinions for the story, but still I enjoyed and had a good time with the game. Many fans didn't like how they introduced some open world elements. It's not a full-blown open world, but the larger environments let you explore, which is not really a plus point for this video, but still, it's not forcing you to go anywhere, so you can still enjoy the game in linear manner. Before I reveal my final pick, here are some honorable mentions. Dead Space Remake. It's like stepping back into a nightmare, but with a fresh coat of paint that makes it even more terrifying. If you've played the original, you'll feel that familiar sense of dread as soon as you step foot on the USG Ishimura. What I loved most about the remake is how it balances nostalgia with innovation. The core gameplay remains true to the original, but with smoother controls and some modern tweaks that make it feel more responsive and intense. The game is a masterclass in survival horror, and playing it feels like reliving a nightmare, but in the best possible way. Our next bonus game is Max Payne. What really sets Max Payne apart is the bullet time mechanic. It's this slow motion feature that lets you dive through the air, dodging bullets and taking out enemies in a way that makes you feel like you're in the Matrix. Some of the core aspects of the game are the storyline, how every level or area is connected, and multiple weapons. Even if not for the linear purpose, I want you guys to play this game once again, just for the sake of nostalgia. Also, you can wait for the remake as we'll probably get it next year. Alan Wake Remastered. Alan Wake is one of those games that gets better over time. The story is something that you can't help but feel compelled to uncover. It's a mix of horror, mystery, and suspense. I never played the original. The remaster is simply amazing and amplifies the original. Throughout the story, you become stronger with each mission you complete. You might feel scared at first, but the more you progress, the easier it becomes to explore and kill enemies. It's certainly a great game that nails the balance between action and gameplay. Also, if you are planning on entering the sequel, then make sure to play the original. You will surely thank me, as the sequel will give you a nostalgia feeling. You will see familiar places, the ones you saw in the first part, the town, the lake, sheriff station. It all feels like you have lived through an epic story. Still, it's one of the best features of the game. Alright, this finishes our list of the 10 must-play linear games for an all-out amazing experience. I'm sure you'll have a great time playing these games. Anyways, if you have made it this far, then please subscribe, as I'm close to reaching 20,000 subscribers.